cold sky. Causation's laws do make them run. They live in bonds they die. Now know these are the outer crust, all space and time, effect and cause. I am beyond all sense or thought, the witness of the universe. Before the sun, the moon, the earth, before the stars, all comets free, before even time has had its birth, I was, I am, and I will be. No angel I, nor man nor brute, nor body, mind, nor he nor she. The books do stop in wonder mute to tell my nature I am he. Let eyes grow dim and heart grow faint and flinch.
So today's topic is about practical religion, because that is what matters. In the words of Sri Ramakrishna, in one place in the Gospel we read, "What is the use of learning several scriptures? To cross the river of worldliness is all that matters." So this is all about how we can learn to swim in this ocean of worldliness, so that we can successfully cross the world or our life of worldliness. And that is all that matters. And that is what is all about this practicalities, practical side of religion. Because when we talk about religion, we think about many holy books, we think about many holy icons, the temples and the churches and the celebrations and many different kinds of ritualistic activities that comes to our mind immediately in the succession. The word religion usually means that. But Swami Vivekananda reminded us in very beginning of his Raja Yoga book, and which is so wonderful a work and so very comforting, when he says that each soul is potentially divine. Goal is to manifest that divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. And then he gives us the whole lot of freedom, that do it with all these four different paths that are available to us. The bhakti or jnana or selfless service or meditation or whatever suits you, one or more or all of them, and then be free. That is the goal. With the help of whichever path suits you, and make a combination of them according to your liking, according to your ability to assimilate. And then this is the purpose of entire system and the effort and all our this toil in the name of religion is to be free. And then he says that this is the sum and substance of everything, and this is all about religion. And everything else that I mentioned that comes to our mind in name of religion, that the holy books and scriptures and the temples and the ceremonies and the rituals and all that, he says that they are all but secondary. Not that they are not at all important, or they should be discarded and thrown away from our life, but they are secondary. The primary objective should not be forgotten, that is to learn the swimming in this ocean of worldliness that everyone is all the time there experiencing. So this is what all about practical religion that we have taken up for our today's topic. So how do we do that? What is the way to swim in this ocean of worldliness? And then we find that this is the reason why from time to time God incarnates in human form, just to teach us how to swim. This is about teach us what is the practical side of religion. That is the only reason why God incarnates in human form from time to time. Why does He come from time to time? Once He has taught the system, and why not everybody just follow the system or the instruction? The point is that when they come, when the God incarnates in human form and He lives His life and He gives the way in the simplest and the language of that time most appropriately and very practical and very suited to most of the people at that time, people really like it, and in large number, in course of time, millions and hundreds of millions of people, they follow the path and they really they understand that this is the way to cross the ocean of worldliness or to swim. He gives us the way. Not that before He came there was no way. There were the way. The way were in the form of some other scripture or something, some practices, they were there already. But they eventually become the primary. The books and the temples and the rituals and the ceremonies, they become primary. And the purpose of all these things doing, that is to learn how to swim, becomes secondary or outright forgotten. People get so tired of doing all those rituals and ceremonies, they get so very lost in those philosophical reasoning and dialogues and narratives, arguments and counter arguments, that the real purpose of doing all these things, they are forgotten or are lost. As Savitaji was telling, that after returning back from day-long work, it becomes so very tiresome to again pick up something, doing meditation or japa or anything, that you just say, good evening, my Lord. Because you don't have any more time or energy or anything left in you. You are really lost in your daily life, chores of life. And added to that, if the religious practices become gradually complex and dry, then you lose the taste of it also. So this is the main reason that the God has to incarnate another time. In the book, the Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, which is the most authentic biography on the life story of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Saradananji says that more or less every 500 years we see a great personality come in the form of Buddha and the Christ or the Chaitanya or Sri Ramakrishna, etc. Almost like a 500 years gap we see, and after 500 years. Because whatever they say, eventually people in adoration of that great personality and in love of his words and his teachings, they make a huge edifice of that. He becomes a statue on the altar, and his words eventually are further interpreted and further explained, and they become huge amount of philosophy. And that becomes a like a forest in which people get lost. So again someone has to come and has to say, okay, forget those books. Because he had come in the past and told people how to learn swimming this ocean of worldliness, and people, instead of actually jumping into the water and try swimming, they are wasting their time only taking lessons in a classroom. That happens. So Buddha came and he said that you don't have to worship any god or god, just do this. Eventually Buddha became a big image in the temple and everybody is worshipping Buddha. He said, don't worship. He said that forget about these philosophies and all these things, just live your life this simple way. People, they created really very complex and difficult to understand philosophies of what Buddha has said. So this is the way that we get lost, and therefore the first thing that comes to our mind that what is the practical religion or what is the application of religion in our life, then the first lesson should be just go to the basics. Just watch or read the life story of the prophet or the Son of God or the great messenger and just read as what he said, and don't bother yourself with too much of philosophy. This could be a wonderful thing. Then we can draw great lessons from whatever they have said, whatever they have said. For example, starting from Buddha, because Buddha was the founder of practical religion. In his time, he said that at the time the Vedas were being, that was the scripture in that land of Buddha, and he said that you don't have to study Vedas. And whatever the Veda was instructed, you don't have to worry about them. You just live your life in a simple way. He summarized what is the way you could emerge out of this worldliness. And eventually the purpose or the goal of life is achieved. He gave a sum and substance of that in very few lessons, simplified. And those simplified lessons, he said there are the four truths, Arya Satya, these four truths. And the first, second and third are about the reality, who you are and why you are here, and what is the purpose you are wandering in this world. But the fourth one is about how to get out of here. That is the fourth one. And that is the fourth Arya Satya, that there is a way to free yourself from this entanglement, and that way he gave in the form of 8 instructions. And that eightfold path that he gave to us, because Buddha was the teacher of practical religion, Swami, in the words of Swami Vivekananda, he said that in the world of hagiography and all religious history, it is only one person we can see, Buddha, who did not care for any devotion or knowledge or anything, religious also adherences. He was the symbol of pure Karma Yoga. He was the teacher of Karma Yoga, and he was in his life and his teaching, he only asked people what to do. It is all about practicality. So what Buddha therefore taught, that should make sense to us. And Buddha, what he taught, we find that comes in the form of that they have separated this eightfold path in the form of 3 sections. One is known as Pragya, another is Shila, and third one is called Dhyana. That means the do this right, do that right, right this, right that. So first two of right thing to do were in the form of having the right view and the right goal set up. These are the right thing to do. Having the right view. Because a whole lot of views are so complex and so very confused. There are people in the name of religion, they hold this view to kill others. Now these kind of views are also there in the name of religion. So to have a clarity in the view is of course very, very important. And that will come from by having good study and, as I mentioned, go back to the basic. Find out what these great teachers, they were, their life and what they have said to us. So that gradually should be clarification to us about what is the ultimate reality about religion and what is the purpose of our life, etc., etc. So great, the right view and right aim. After the viewpoint is clarified, then the goal becomes clearer and becomes much more understandable, and it becomes then focus is now set that this is the goal. Different religion or according to one's chosen path, whether it is a devotional path or a path of knowledge or path of pure meditation, people may have different name for the goal, but ultimately that goal is one and the same. And that goal eventually, in the words of Vedanta books, the teachers, the great seers, they call it liberating ourselves from this ignorance, the entanglement of ignorance, or this covering of ignorance, liberation, or moksha, or mukti, in the words of Vedanta. When Buddha said, he called it Nibbana, but it is one and the same. In other dualistic religion, they will call it to reach back, go back to your source, Father in heaven or God or somewhere, in the abode of Allah maybe, all merciful. But it is, the point is, it is about freeing ourselves from our present existence and reaching there from where you are not returning back here or doing again and again the same thing that you are doing now. So this is about called pragya, or having a clarity in your head and having a clear understanding about the goal. Second is shila, or the practice or living the ethical and moral life. In the Buddhism, this is all about religious practices. And in other form of religion also, in the path of all the Vedanta terms, or in other Abrahamic religions also, they are talking about the same thing. It is all about shila, or about purification. Unless and until you have lived your life in perfect ethical and moral way, you cannot purify yourself enough to achieve that goal, what is being talked about. So this concept of shila, in terms of Buddha, of course, Buddha talked about the discipline of right speech, right action, right living, right effort. So that was 2,500 years back that he had this way he explained, and they have been explained further there, how and what, etc., etc. When you say right action, right speech, we should not take it just that simple one word. That has been further explained, what does that include, because within those folds of these four shilas, everything that non-violence and loving each other and serving everybody, etc., everything is included there. In those right action or right speech. And in the right speech, for example, I was reading in the great Vietnamese teacher, the Thich Nhat Hanh, he explained that right speech is not about just your speaking good words and truthful words. It is about also to be patiently listening and hearing and trying to understand what others are saying. giving others also the opportunity to express themselves and be loving patience and ability to listen to others, without which your words has no meaning. It is meaningless. Unless and until you have opened your heart to understand others and hear and listen and understand what is there in other people's mind and heart, what you are talking then, what is the worth of your talking. So don't talk, be quiet and be calm. So within this concept of right speech, there is a whole lot of your nobility and your spiritual evolution and your opening up to the world outside, not only the human being but all other creatures, the entire nature. Everything is included there. So it can be explained and it can be interpreted and understood. So the point is that many different ways, many different religious teachers, they talk to us in many different languages, that live your life most ethically and most morally. Because they are the thing to do so that you can be fit to receive what in the language of the devotional paths of all different major faiths, they say the grace of God. Unless you have made yourself the right recipient of the grace is falling and it is just overflowing and you are unable to catch anything, a drop of it. That kind of thing will happen. And how do you be fit for that? Just morally and ethically cleanse your heart, be a superior person. Until and unless you are the right person in the path of devotion or jnana or yoga or anything, until and unless you have prepared yourself as the fit recipient of the grace, nothing is going to help you. That is the point. And when you have elevated yourself, evolved from this very basic level of your existence to that much superior and higher level of spiritual personality, when you have done it, then the whole lot of very bright sky opens up. Until then, it is like a dark cloud is covering the sky. Sun is still shining there beyond the cloud. Just it is not available to your eyes. So what you have to do is purify yourself. So when Buddha says the remaining portion, which in their philosophy they call it the dhyana, the right mindfulness and right contemplation, that we can say immaterial. As we just listened to 6 of the retreatants, they were talking that we are not yet there, we are etc. etc. Yes, that is true. For most of us, we are not yet there. We don't have to worry about the dhyana and the samadhi and whether it is nirvikalpa or savikalpa, we don't have to worry about. We don't have to worry about. We can live at level that is meaningful to us and we can think about what is the thing that we can do right now, here and now and today. So we find that in our modern time, because Sri Ramakrishna lived only less than 200 years back, so he speaks a language which is so very relevant and modern, we can say, because it is everything, many different things he had mentioned, it still is there. And it is the way that he spoke, it makes perfect sense. So we can understand, as Lisa said, that after reading the books from Swami Vivekananda and others and listening to Vedanta talks and others, many of the teachings that she had from the Catholic background, that becomes much more meaningful and much more relevant and much more beneficial to her own life. This is what Swami Vivekananda, when he came to West, he actually said that exactly. He said that it is not, am I asking people to convert themselves from Christian to become a Hindu, or a Muslim to become a Buddhist, or a Buddhist to become a Christian. No, not that. What we really mean is from the teachings of Vedanta that you become a better you. Whoever you are, wherever you are standing, know that there is a whole lot of possibility and whole lot of betterment possible. And Vedanta only teaches you to how to help you grow and be a better person. A lawyer becomes a better lawyer. Dad will be happy. I'm sure he knew that from Swamiji's words. He says that a doctor will be a better doctor, a lawyer will be, a householder will be a better householder, a housewife will be a better housewife. That is all about the Vedantic teaching. So, when we look at Sri Ramakrishna, that he was the messenger of Vedanta or interpreter of Vedanta in the modern time, then we see that all kind of wonderful messages and teachings that are coming from Sri Ramakrishna. But some of them, they stand out. They stand out as if they are the most important part of his teachings. For example, he says, hold on to truth. Even he mentioned that it appears as if people believe that if they are in the business, if he is some kind of profession, holding on to truth perhaps is not practical or possible. Still he insists, hold on to truth. If you are a religious-minded person, if you want the benefit of religion come to you, if you want to actually enjoy spiritual life, get somewhere in religion. As Pratibha was telling that she and her husband Sushil, they all the time say, we are not gaining. Is it working? If you want to find that it is really working and you are gaining more foothold in this path of spirituality, you are enjoying spiritual life and you are now a brighter, superior and a happier, peaceful person. Sri Ramakrishna's message is, hold on to truth. This is an application of religion in daily life. He says, hold on to truth. He says that if a person holds on to truth and never compromises with truth, such a person is sitting in the lap of God. Think of a small baby in the arms of its mother. Just think like that. When you read this sentence, imagine that. What kind of a warmth and comfort and security the baby is experiencing. The joy. The baby has nothing to worry about. Mother is taking care of everything. So long as we think that we are taking care of ourselves, so long as we think that we have to plan and execute everything to safeguard our own dear soul and our small family's interest and everything, if we don't do it by hook or crook, there comes all sorts of falsification and twisting of truth and all sorts of things comes there. Why we lie or why we camouflage the fact? Because we are trying to protect ourselves. Why do we want to protect ourselves? Because we don't believe God is protecting ourselves. Because we don't believe in God. We hear all sorts of things, but we don't really think that is true or have that faith in it. So, if a person, in the words of Sri Ramakrishna, can hold on to this truth, just one teaching, then he or she has nothing to worry about. The spiritual life has been taken care of. Such a soul is in the arms of God, like mother is holding his baby. That's it. So the baby has nothing to hide and nothing to lie. It has to be just freely living its life in the complete and secure care of the Lord, its mother or father. This is one message coming out which can be considered as a very prominent teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's teaching the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is a huge amount. Many wonderful messages and teachings, which are everything appears very, very practical. And at the beginning I said that what we can do, how we can live our practical life, okay, go back to the source, look back, and find what the great teacher or the messenger, their life and what they say. So the reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna every day, couple of pages, may be a wonderful thing. And I know very surely that many even Catholic monks and nuns, they have got a Gospel of Ramakrishna at their bedside, and they read it. We know it from very good sources. Not everybody, but many of them who have heard of him, who have read of him, and find the real joy and the real insight into it. People who are serious and sincere about their spiritual life, and they want to achieve the goal of their spiritual life, they have found the real message coming from there. So if we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna every day, that may be a wonderful way of living our life, practical way, spiritual life. You don't have to think about, can I meditate? You don't have to. Okay, you try. But this one you can do. You don't have, there is no challenge there. Just by reading a few couple of pages. This can be very practical. Then these messages or these advices or instructions, hold on to truth. Never compromise with truth. This can be a wonderful way to practice our religion. Let us try this. Then he says, prayer. He talks about prayer. He talks about that if you are very sincerely praying, then surely God will listen. Now, if we have any faith in Sri Ramakrishna, then we should have this faith in these words also. Whatever you have to say to solve your problems in life, you say it to the Lord, your Lord, whichever form you have chosen, that is your God, your Lord. You pray with all sincerity in your heart and have the full faith that He is listening, and after that, don't insist that the answer should be given immediately. That is another thing. Because we are so ignorant about everything, about our own life and about our own future, that we really don't know what is good for us. So when we pray to the Lord, let us pray like that, Lord, I am in trouble, this and that thing has happened in my life and I want your help. And after praying, conclude it with saying that, now it is in your hand, let thy will be done. You know what is better for me. Okay, I am now fine. And don't insist that, Lord, do this for me and do this today, or by tomorrow I must see it, otherwise I don't believe you are existing or you are real. No, that is not a good prayer for a devotee. A devotee has to pray like that I am in trouble and you are my all in all. You have to save me, secure me, and I am in your hands. And now you do what is good for me. This is another practical reason. You could do practice. Third one, I would pick from there, because these are pick and choose kind of thing, because there are so many different messages that there. Every other message will appear wonderful. This one, because people live in their worldly life, they are householders, they have got so many responsibilities, duties, they have got so many conflicting situations, and the easiest thing to do in the name of religion is to flee from the scene, to flee from the battlefield and say, I am a religious person. say that I'm not taking the challenge, I'm not taking the responsibility on me. Everybody else, you do it. I am a spiritual person. I am going to the church or the temple, and I will just chant the holy name and live a wonderful life there. I am not facing the world. We find from the teachings, beginning from Bhagavad Gita to Sri Ramakrishna to Swami Vivekananda, they tell us that no, don't flee from your duties and your responsibilities. That way you can never progress. The progress in the personality and the life and in spiritual path will never be achieved by fleeing the battlefield. Face the challenges bravely with full faith in the Lord. How to do that? That also has been given in so wonderful examples Sri Ramakrishna gave. He was a master of setting examples through his parables and all these things. And he talks about the maid servant as a maid servant works in a very rich man's house, a wealthy man's house. You live in this world like that. Always remembering, never forgetting, like that maid servant will never forget that her home is way into the outskirts of the city or maybe in a rural area where her family and children live there, so her heart is there. But she nevertheless does everything in this rich man's house where she is employed and hired with full attention paid and sincerely executing all duties correctly and perfectly, not leaving any stone to finish the job perfectly. That she does, but in her heart, deep within, she always remembers that this is not her home is there. You have to live in this world with that attitude. So you do your duty here to everybody very meticulously. Finish your job completely, not giving up anything as it is, I am not doing it, let somebody else do it. No, you cannot do it. But always remember that this is only a temporary phase of your life you are living. Your real home is somewhere else. So I believe I have completed my time schedule so much that I cannot go any further. This is a wonderful topic, how to apply religion in your daily life, because that is what all matters. As Sri Ramakrishna said, that a whole lot of scripture and all is there, how does that matter? It really, only thing matters is to learn how to swim this ocean of worldliness. I would say, surround yourself with a spiritual atmosphere and stay as if immersed in that spiritual atmosphere. Create the atmosphere outside, which is also very spiritually surcharged. That is the reason why people visit the temple or a church or an ashram or somewhere. The best thing to do this, that is why people say that have holy association. So long as it is possible, have some monastics or others holy association. If it is available, avail of this benefit that is available, because that is the way you get yourself surcharged, inspired, and surround yourself with holy atmosphere outwardly. If it is not available, okay, other holy men and women, many other religious brothers and sisters, those who are practicing spiritual life, be in the company of those people as many times as possible in your life, and try to create your own atmosphere with the chanting of holy, study of scriptures and reading and singing bhajan, Mahayogananda was singing, etc., etc. Have your own shrine set up and all that. Do every day many different kinds of activities which creates a holy atmosphere around you and create the holy atmosphere within you. If you are initiated disciple, you have got a holy name already given, which has got the all power to actually open up your spiritual centers in your heart and have the glimpse of the divine seen within you. It has got, the mantra has got all the power. Just you have to invoke that power. So you can create the holy atmosphere within you, constantly remembering the Lord and continuously chanting His holy name. As in our Sunday services we chant the Sikshastakam in English by Sri Chaitanya, who said, chant the name of the Lord and His glory incessantly. And this is a message that has come not only from Hinduism, from other religions also. Chant the holy name incessantly within your heart. Nobody can stop you. Even if you are driving your car, you can still chant the holy name within. If you are cooking a meal, you can still chant the holy name. If you are taking a shower, you can chant the holy name within. Every time you can create the holy atmosphere inside you and try to create the holy atmosphere outside you, and if possible have the touch of the holiness wherever it is available. The living holiness is always in a holy person, whether it is a monastic or a householder devotee. But if a person is living a very dynamic and very powerful spiritual life, then have a touch of that holiness now and then you are actually practicing religion. The religion can be much more tangible. Religion which otherwise is so intangible. In the books and all these things and the philosophies and all these things, it appears like it is intangible. But religion could be made tangible. Just create the atmosphere outside you, inside you, and submerge yourself in that syrup of sweet, holy syrup of spirituality, and thereby you are applying religion to your daily practical life. So thank you very much for attending this half-day retreat, which we have extended half an hour than more than stipulated. But I hope that all of you have enjoyed it equally as I have enjoyed. I really enjoyed listening to these two Swamis. They gave a wonderful talk. And those of you who came forward to open your hearts and share your feelings and your wisdom, everything was so wonderfully enjoyed. So we are thankful to all of you for making this half-day retreat successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Shanti, Shanti, Hari Om Tat Sat, Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
From bonds be free, be not afraid in this mystery. My shadow cannot frighten me, no once for all